You're not allowed to talk about it, but there's one minority responsible for the most crime, savagery, and aggression and suffering worldwide. This minority brutalizes and terrorizes untold numbers of innocent people, but if you talk about it, most people call you a crazed extremist. I've been censored repeatedly for showing what they do, but it needs to be said. The most dangerous minority on Earth is the group that controls and rules over the vast majority through violent authority. History speaks for itself. People acting in the name of political authority and government have killed and maimed astronomical numbers of people, dwarfing any other demographic of offender. It doesn't matter what kind of government it is: monarchy, dictatorship, communist or fascist regime, representative democracy. It's all still rooted in violence. Some subcategories may kill more than others, but violence is the fundamental language of the state and those who enforce its rules, aside from the political semantics that dress it up as civilization, peace, and humanity. This rule by minority statist system is portrayed as the only way to keep humankind from chaos, while perpetually instigating chaos. It rests on the delusional logic that people are bad and stupid, so we need a government made up of people who are bad and stupid. Enter another subgroup of the most dangerous minority, the people law enforcement and soldiers take orders from. The political tier of the ruling class, who believe they have a right to issue dictates and orders and have men with guns carry them out under threat of extortion and violence. They're merely people, just like the millions and billions they rule over, and yet they assume the moral authority to control, steal from, aggress against, and even kill, letting their armed henchmen do the dirty work, even for victimless behaviors the state forbids. No other class of humans claims or is perceived to have such special rights to a monopoly on theft, violence, and domination over others. Most people understand that it's wrong to threaten or commit theft or non-defensive violence. They correctly condemn it because no one has that right. And yet the ruling minority's programming creates a cognitive dissonance where the people believe that through special rituals, incantations, and the god of authority, they can confer rights they don't have to other people who inherently also don't have them. And the masses exempt them from real accountability for their behavior because they sit in sacred buildings or wear special costumes to designate their superiority, to signify their special rights to order you around and have their goons impose theft and violence. If the masses really object to any given master, they're allowed to vote for a different master, but never to cast off the ruling class's authority altogether. Combined with the order followers and enforcers, these perceived masters make up the most dangerous minority. But they're only so dangerous because the majority, the masses, can't see through the indoctrination. They've been convinced from childhood that they're literally the government, and they harbor the delusion that they partake in the pseudo-victories and real failures and atrocities of a handful of state agents. In America, many people believe we adopted the Constitution, we stormed the beaches of Normandy, we dropped the atomic bomb, we threw people in camps, we lost the Vietnam War, or we invaded Iraq. No, we didn't. People acting in the name of government and authority did, funded by money stolen from the people they claim authority over. But the fact that so many people's brains perceive reality as though they took part in these things shows just how thorough the brainwashing is. And because people are conditioned to identify with said ruling class and the state, they're far less able to question it because it's a core part of their identity. Most people don't consciously want to be ruled over, but they must choose between that or ruling over others, and so they seek the illusion of power through government. They excuse injustice and authoritarianism so long as their perceived team is the one committing it. The people demonize each other while the ruling class keeps centralizing and strengthening their grip over them no matter what partisan biases they hold. Those acting in the name of authority are the most dangerous minority because the very nature of the system's control and power keeps people angry, terrified, reactive, and locked into subservience as they wait for the very entities causing the anger, terror, and reactivity to come to their rescue, sacrificing their liberties in the process. None of this is to say that everyone who works for government institutions is evil and violent. The postman, national park ranger, and firefighter surely are not. Even as many police officers and other violent enforcers abuse their power, some really did join the force because they wanted to help others. But that doesn't change the fact that their incomes are paid through extortion, and that's enabled by the exact same perception of authority that leads to so much abuse, exploitation, and brutality from others who seek power precisely because they revel in inflicting harm and controlling others. I'm often asked what my solution is. The first one would be to stop believing in this abusive racket and reclaim your own authority, not through violence but agency and responsibility to yourself and your communities and fellow humans. The belief that you need violent authoritarians to do it for you stunts your capacity to do it yourself. Without government, who would convince the masses that they can't lead themselves? People can quibble all they want about which subgroup is responsible for this dumpster fire of humanity, but there's one common denominator among the worst of the worst evils: the belief in and exertion of violent authority. And the only thing that allows them to keep wielding this barbaric authority is your belief in the lie that it's legitimate.